Hey there everyone, it's Todd from Gilla Games, and I'm going to tell you about a huge update that's been in the works since September 6th when I made a new branch on Pre-Live, the Pre-Live branch, which a lot of you players have been helping test the Pre-Live branch. And it started out as a kind of an overhaul to how the popularity system works, because in the old system, popularity was per city. Each city, your band had a different popularity, and that helped you kind of grow more regionally, in the area where your city was, or wherever your CDs were being promoted if you had a record label. The problem with that is it caused a lot of inconsistencies with tour gigs, because you would go on tour and you couldn't choose who your tour band was. You just automatically paired up with somebody. And then as you went through these different gigs, sometimes you were headlining an arena in one city, or a theater or something like that, and then another city you're the opening band at Joe's Bar or something like that. It was really inconsistent within the same region, like in the United States and Canada or Europe. So the idea was to make it more of a consistent experience by making your band have one popularity value for the whole region, which is always how the computer bands worked anyway. So let me just go ahead and show you some of the changes here. On band info, you can see the popularity is now US and Canada, and it shows a little heart icon. And because popularity still goes up to 100, it's 0 to 100, but 1 point of popularity for the whole region means more than 1 point of popularity for a city like it used to be. So to break that down and show the more gradual incremental increases in your popularity, all popularity values are now shown with 2 decimal points, because you can actually gain popularity just in small decimal amounts. Now I can look at the, let's look at all of the other bands here. You can see the popularity for each of the other computer bands. And also, let's look at my song list. The popularity for songs even has 2 decimal points in the heart icon. So anywhere you see that heart icon now, that's just a quick indicator that that's a popularity value. You can see the popularity in all regions, a little bit of popularity in Europe. Because what I did was, in the old system, whenever you gained popularity in a city, a little bit of popularity splashed out to the nearby cities. But since it's now region-based, what happens is a very small amount of popularity goes to the other regions outside of the one that you actually gain popularity. So that's how this is a little bit. This way, if you get really popular in your starting region, you have at least a starting point in other regions to go over there and start trying to go on tour and get a record label, and things like that. So you're not starting from absolute nothing. Now, as I mentioned, the popularity changes were mainly inspired to improve the tour booking system. So now the tour booking system has got all kinds of enhancements here. So now you still give it a name, and you can choose your date range, or you can choose the start date and how many gigs you want it to be. So there's no specific end date. You say you just want 20 gigs or 30 gigs. You can specify that here, and it'll book them out as far as it can and try to book that many gigs. Now, in the old system, it automatically never booked you on Sunday. But now it's up to you. You can choose which days you want gigs and which days you want to skip gigs. So if you want gigs on Sunday but you want Monday off, you can do that. Or Tuesday, if you only want the weekends, you can turn off Friday, Saturday, and turn off everything except Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or whatever you want to do. It's a lot more flexible. You still choose the starting city and what areas you want to limit the tour to. But now, instead of automatically being told who your tour band's going to be, you can choose it, and it's based on partly on the starting city, but a lot of this has to do with it gives you suggestions based on when each band's next CD is going to be released, and also comparable popularity range. So all of these bands right here would be the headliner on the tour. And if you keep going down, and it shows if you have any relationship with the band, if you keep going down, eventually, and there's not always this many to choose from, eventually you get to the lower level ones, your bands that you have relationships with in your hometown or whatever, and they could be an opening band on the tour instead of a headliner. And those are the only options for being openers. Oh, no, here's a bunch. Yeah. So then you can choose, you can decide if you want to be the headliner or the opening band, and there's pros and cons of each. If you want to get in front of the biggest audiences, you might want to pick, you might want to be the opening band for somebody who's got a high popularity, like 22 popularity in this list. But maybe you want to try to make more money, so you might want to be the headliner. So it's up to you how you want to do this. So let me just choose this. Now it tells me a little bit about the band I'm opening, and if I like it, make sure I give it a name, assign the task, and your manager starts looking for gigs. And in a couple of days, hopefully he'll tell you what the gigs are, what the tour looks like. Another new feature that was added kind of to help rebalance the popularity being more, it's completely smoothed out across the entire area, but we still want your band to be more attractive and less attractive in different areas of the map. So instead of using popularity for that, it uses an area-based attitude. So if you look up here now, you can see all the attitudes that are popular and unpopular, and you can see that for Texas, which is where I'm at right now, hatred is popular and love is unpopular, which will affect the draw of your gigs and how much sales for CDs you have in that area based on what your song's attitudes are. Now, if you look at the map here, you can see with each area that you point at how the gig draw is based on the attitudes, and it tells you what attitude is popular in that state or area. So I'm getting, there's no adjustment there. So love is popular in Michigan. I must not have love songs. I might have some songs about hate, because plus 4% there, minus 11% because climate change is popular there. Well, let's look at my song list. What do I have here? Oh, whoops. Sports cars. Lots of songs about sports cars and sex. Partying. Oh, I see I got hatred on this one. So it's all about the most popular songs that you have is what you're known for. There's also some changes and enhancements to the manager's functionality. Now, when you have them finding a recording contract, you can choose which region you want the label to be based in. And of course, right now, you can only choose from Europe and US and Canada, but it tells you what your popularity is in each one of them. And then your manager will look for a contract in that area. So this way you no longer have to fire your manager from one area, or one region, I should say region, to hire a manager in another region just to get a recording contract. You can keep your same manager now. In addition, when he's booking local gigs, you can choose the city that you want the local gigs to be based on. Now, it tells you down here what his reputation is outside of his home city. The further he gets from his home city, his reputation will be reduced a little bit. So it's normally 4, but it will be 3 when booking near Dublin, Texas, instead of Salem, Massachusetts, which is his home city. Also, when you do find a recording contract, you no longer have to actually go to his office to look at the contracts and sign them. And the reason for that is it's very inconvenient in the first place, but with the ability to get contracts in different regions of the world, and you might be traveling in another region and it's very expensive to fly back and forth and takes a lot of time, it just wasn't practical and it wasn't fun anymore. So I just removed that requirement. You can now just come to your manager screen here, and the button will be up the top here when you have offers to look at. Oh, another thing about managers now is they can gain experience and their reputation can go up. So you can get a low reputation manager early on in your career, and you do a lot of things, and their reputation can kind of grow with your band. So that's something that you may want to do, is keep your manager for your career instead of firing them and get a higher reputation manager later, because maybe they can grow with your band. Another major new feature that's pretty cool is the ability to hire crew members now. So you can go to the band info screen and there's a crew members button. Click this. It's kind of similar to recruiting musicians, although the interface looks more like buying equipment. So these are the available crew members in Dallas, and you can see what they do. And you can also, if you're looking for a particular one, you can just filter on whatever you want up here. And you can see over here the ones that I already have hired. I have instrument techs for each of my musicians. And then it shows their experience, their skill, and how much it costs to pay them at each gig that they work. And they work at every gig, that they can. Now, instrument techs can work at the smallest gigs all the way to the largest gigs. But these pyrotechnic engineer, sound engineer, stage manager, lighting engineer, all of these types they only work when you headline a show. And the pyrotechnic can only be used in the arenas, because that's the only venues large enough to have pyros. So now if you've played the game already and played gigs in arenas, you see the pyros going off on the stage. Well, that's no longer going to be automatically included. You have to hire the pyrotechnic and pay extra money to get the pyros as part of your show, but it also enhances your audience satisfaction. Now there's new random events that happen during gigs, and they're generally bad things that can happen. If you've ever watched This Is Spinal Tap, you kind of know what I mean. Like those guys are constantly having bad things happen. Well, having crew members can help you reduce the seriousness or the impact of how bad the things are that happen, or sometimes, very often, help prevent them from happening at all. And a lot of times, things are going smooth and, there's no bad things happening. You might think, well, what do I need these crew members for? Nothing's happening. Well, it might be because you have good crew members that nothing's happening. So if you get rid of them, then you might start seeing some bad things happening. Now, the crew members, they gain experience with you. Each gig that they play, they gain 1 experience, and their skill can go up with the experience up to 200, their skill will continue to grow. Now each crew member has kind of a hidden aptitude level, so they don't all end up with the same skill level, you know, when they're at 200 experience. So you kind of you can fire them later on if they don't turn out to be very high skilled after experience, or you can just go ahead and hire highly experienced people where you can see what their maximum skill is already going to be. So it's up to you and your budget. There's a few enhancements on the Minimap when you're driving around the city. The parks now show whether it's been mowed or not. Just at a glance you can tell. Also the cemetery. So it's easier to find parks that still need to be mowed. Also, instead of having to hover around to try to find something with help wanted, now there's a button up here you can toggle and it'll show you every location with help wanted currently available. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut, which is currently by default mapped to J, to toggle it so that you can do it even when it's small. And of course that's configurable on the settings screen. A lot of time and testing went into balancing these new changes. There's so many changes to the popularity system that affects so many things, from, you know, booking gigs, selling CDs, how big the attendance draw is at your gigs, and other factors I'm not even thinking of right now. So I really want to thank all of the testers for helping out with this. It took a lot longer than I anticipated because I got sidetracked with a couple other projects, but it started in September and we're getting it out now in June. So I hope everybody enjoys it. If there's any issues, as usual, report a bug on the settings screen. There's the bug reporter, and join us in the Discord and get involved in the community, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for watching.